ladies and gentlemen. You're back watching the spectacular, magnificent, edge-of-your-seat, popcorn-spilling season finale of America's Next Top Activist. I'm your host, Myra Panks, and I'll be bringing you along on this suspenseful journey. The activists are competing for a spot on the new Mount Rushmore. The National Park Service celebrated their 100th anniversary a few years ago, and attendance was at an all-time high. However, Mount Rushmore gets visited by Americans once in a lifetime, and after that, they don't really feel the need to come again. So we present to you the Activist Circle. I think that we can all argue that although the Founding Fathers created and built a foundation for the United States, the activists in the country were the ones who brought change in the country and moved the country along to be the dominating first world country it is today. The activists were important to bring reform for all Americans because they united people of race, gender, working class, and just Americans in general. Some of the activist figures you will see very soon are famous, while others have done important works that are still yet to be nationally acknowledged. The National Park System has contacted us at America's Top Next Model with the task of selecting 3 people to be placed on this new monument, the Activist Circle, that they plan to build next year. So now, let's introduce our judges. First off, we have TALIA Rajasingham. Next, we have MILI Sinval. Last but not least, we have Melissa Hilly. The previously eliminated contestants are Rosa Parks, Thurgood Marshall, Malcolm X, Eleanor Roosevelt, Billie Jean King, Rachel Carson. So now let's introduce our finalists. Earl Warren, Betty Friedan, Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King Jr. We're going to be asking each of you a series of questions. Based on your responses, we will select 3 of you to be in the Activist Circle. So first, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Where did you grow up, and how were your experiences as a child? Earl Warren.
I was born in Los Angeles, California in 1891 to a Norwegian railroad worker and a Swedish immigrant.
Betty Friedan.
Hello. I was born in 1921 in Illinois to a humble family that owned a jewelry store.
Cesar Chavez. I was born in 1927 and grew up in agrarian Arizona. My parents owned a ranch and a small grocery store, but during the Great Depression, they lost everything. In order to survive, my family became migrant farm workers traveling around California to find work. So trust me, I know the meaning of hard work. Martin Luther King Jr.
Hello. I was born in 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. Me and my siblings were born into a financially secure middle-class family, and thus we received better education than most people of our race.
The next question is, what type of education did you receive, and how did it affect your career? Earl Warren.
Oh God, these are crusty. Anyways, I attended a public school and earned my law degree at the University of California, Berkeley. After returning from the Army, I became a district attorney and then, in 1925, governor of California. In the 50s, I was appointed as the 14th Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court by President Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Betty Friedan.
I attended Smith College, where I majored in psychology while editing the university newspaper. Under my administration, the newspaper became a forum for anti-fascism abroad and union organization at home. I graduated from Smith College in 1942 and moved on to the University of California, Berkeley, where I worked as a psychology research fellow. The following year, I moved to New York to work for Union Publications and a labor journalist.
Cesar Chavez. La escuela, mi educación, mi corazón. Oh, sorry. My parents thought school was very important. It was hard for me because the teachers only spoke in English and I didn't understand it. I thought the teachers were mean because they punished me when I spoke Spanish. But school honestly taught me to work hard towards my goals. Martin Luther King Jr.
My mom was a teacher, so I learned to read very early on. I skipped 2 years at Booker T. Washington High School and went directly to college. I graduated from Morehouse College in 1948 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology.
The third question is, what was the inspiration that caused you to work so diligently to fight for what's right? Earl Warren.
Well, I saw the injustices that our society was dealing with. That's why I got involved with law in the first place. However, just being the governor of California was not enough. I wanted to make more of a difference, and Eisenhower believed in me. After becoming Supreme Court Justice, I knew I had a duty to America to make the right decisions.
Betty Friedan.
When I gave birth to my 3 children and took time off to take care of them, I understood that I fell under the category of stereotypical women of the mid-20th century women. I didn't want these stereotypes to persist, and so I created The Feminine Mystique to make sure people are aware of these boundaries on female roles. It's a really great book.
Cesar Chavez. I was mainly inspired because I had firsthand seen the poor working conditions of my family's labor on the farm. I couldn't stand the dangerous working conditions and insufficient wages because it was not fair for the hard work that they put into their jobs.
Impressive.
Martin Luther King Jr.
I was motivated by the unfair injustices that African Americans had to endure in the mid-20th century. I want my Black children to live in a country that equally integrates them with all the white children in the world. I want a community where we are all looked at with the same respect and dignity that we all deserve. I do not want them to be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Impressive.
The fourth question is, what are your past impactful actions? Earl Warren.
In the Supreme Court, I began to create more liberal rulings. I fixed voter distribution in Baker versus Carr, implicating the rule of one man, one vote. In Loving versus Virginia, I allowed for interracial marriages. And in Miranda versus Arizona, I protected the rights of the accused. My most controversial case was Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas. And following the John F. Kennedy assassination, my Warren report explained that Lee Harry Oswald was a deranged human being and his crime of killing the president was only circumstantial.
Betty Friedan.
I wrote the best-selling novel, The Feminine Mystique, in 1963. It explained and condemned the fact that women prioritized family life over their happiness and personal desires. It allowed women to finally recognize their affliction and created the strong desire for change. It was my first step to more women joining the women's rights movement and actively advocating for improvements in the lives of women. I also founded the National Organization for Women, also known as NOW, in 1966, which advocated for benefits and equality for women in both the domestic and public sphere.
Impressive.
Cesar Chavez. I created the United Farm Workers, otherwise known as UFW, which created an immediate solution for the laborers through a union. I also participated in the 5-year-long California grape strike for reasonable wages, reduction of harsh conditions, and for employee benefits. It had been one of my most effective and strategic protests in my lifetime. With the help of the Teamsters Union and the American Federation of Labor Congress of Industrial Organizations, also known as the AFL-CIO, I claimed all the rights to organize frameworks and field workers for the United Farm Workers. I was even awarded with the Presidential Award of Freedom from Bill Clinton. Martin Luther King, Jr.
I was the head of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, or SCLC, which was committed to the motto of nonviolence. I participated in boycotts, sit-ins, and marches to protest segregation with the public sector. In addition, I was in the March on Washington, where over 300,000 people came to protest the injustice towards colored people within the economic, social, and political systems in this country. I presented my famous I Have a Dream speech, which is long remembered for a call to peace and equality for the future of the United States of America.
The fifth question is, do you think that your legacy still impacts people today? Earl Warren.
Obviously, I got rid of the legal basis of segregation. Without me, schools might not have ever been integrated. People would not have had the full right of privacy to use contraceptives, and someone might get 10 votes while another one only gets 1. Liberal courts rule.
Impressive.
Betty Friedan.
Yes, of course. I started the women's right movement. I also founded the National Organization of Women, and it still exists today as the largest group of feminist activists in the U.S. Plus, my book, once again, The Feminine Mystique. Really great stuff.
Cesar Chavez. Sí, yo ayudé mucho con los problemas sobre trabajadores. Oh, my bad! Basically, I helped minorities and laborers in America get better working conditions and higher wages. In fact, there is a statue of me in Austin, Texas, I believe, to honor my legacy. Martin Luther King, Jr.
In my personal opinion, I believe that my legacy is the most impactful out of all the contestants, especially to the United States of America and everywhere in the world. The Monday after my birthday is referred to as Martin Luther King Day, or MLK Day, to honor my hard work and dedication in the civil rights movement. It is a national holiday, and I think that my lasting impact will be everlasting.
Last but not least, your final action is to present a photo of something that encaptures your actions. Earl Warren.
I chose this picture because it shows me in the light against the other justices. I was very liberal compared to the other justices. I didn't want a picture representing how I'm fighting for the people and the correct morality.
Betty Friedan.
I chose this photo of me, a very flattering picture, of me and other women. We are sitting at a meeting discussing the next movements of the NOW, the National Organization of Women. I wanted a picture of me in action because there is no time to stop. The need to keep advocating for women's rights is never ending, and that means I can never stop working for what I believe in.
Cesar Chavez. I chose this picture when it was taken at one of my rallies that we had in California. Many of my other Latin American brothers and I were gathered outside the town hall to protest the unfair labor practices. This picture represents the efforts made by me and my people.
Martin Luther King Jr.
This picture was taken during my I Have a Dream speech, during our March on Washington at the Lincoln Memorial. I love my fellow Black brothers and sisters, and I strongly desire to help them and assist them with their every need. In this picture, I reached the ears of over 250,000 people. The speech I spoke represented the time I spoke the truth. I am so happy and grateful that people have changed their closed-minded views, and my children and their children after that can live in a happy, equal world.
It is now time for the results. The first candidate to get picked is Earl Warren.
Congratulations, Earl Warren. It will be an honor to have you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
The second finalist to get picked is Betty Friedan.
Congratulations, Betty Friedan. It'll be an honor to have you.
Thank you.
No problem.
The last and final candidate to get picked is Martin Luther King Jr.
Congratulations, Martin Luther King Jr. It'll be an honor to have you.
But wait, there's a surprise! Due to our discretion, we've decided to let all 4 of you be on the new Mount Rushmore called the Activist Circle.
Our new Mount Rushmore, the Activist Circle, will be located in Montgomery, Alabama.
This city has great historical significance to activism during the 20th century, especially in the civil rights movement.
The Activist Circle is an arc of statues of the famous Earl Warren, Betty Friedan, Cesar Chavez, and Martin Luther King Jr.
Now, the National Park Services will never have to worry about park attendance or money ever again.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to our season finale tonight, and be sure to tune in next season on America's Next Top Activists. This is Myra Pink signing off, and good night to all.
Go!
I forgot how this thing worked.
Why are you laughing?
This is not Taekwondo!
Go, come on.
I was the head of this.
Bro.
National-
Wait, I don't get it.